Imagine waking up, turning on the TV, and seeing nothing but an endless loop of the Swan Lake Ballet. You look out your window, and the street is literally shaking. Hundreds of tanks are rumbling toward the heart of the city. Now, this isn't some dystopian movie. This was the actual reality in Moscow on the morning of August 19th, 1991. See, in the Soviet Union, there was this strange, chilling tradition. Whenever a leader died or a catastrophe hit, the state TV just played ballet. So when hardliners from the KGB decided to overthrow Mikhail Gorbachev, they chose Tchaikovsky's masterpiece to fill the silence. For millions of people, those dancing swans became a signal. The system had crashed. A coup was underway. The conspirators chose their moment perfectly. Gorbachev was on vacation at his villa in Crimea. The heads of the KGB and the military cut off all his communications, trapping the president of a superpower in a golden cage. Meanwhile, in Moscow, they told the world he was too ill to govern. To really get why this happened, you have to look at the context. By the summer of '91, the Soviet Union was already falling apart. The economy was in free fall, shelves were empty, and republics were demanding independence. This coup was a desperate, last-ditch effort by the old guard to stop the collapse by force. On that Monday morning, the city woke up to a vibrating roar. Columns of armor tore through the main avenues, crushing the asphalt. 4,000 soldiers and 800 tanks flooded the streets, turning the capital into what looked like a movie set for World War III. Tanks blocked the bridges and surrounded the Kremlin, their turrets pointed directly at residential buildings. It looked like a Cold War nightmare come to life. The Soviet steel fist had suddenly turned on its own people, but the conspirators made a fatal mistake. They had the tanks, but they didn't have the guts to actually pull the trigger. They weren't iron-fisted dictators, they were terrified bureaucrats. Their weakness was obvious. During a press conference, the world saw the leader of the coup, Gennady Yanayev, with hands that were visibly shaking. That's when Boris Yeltsin stepped in. He walked right up to the tanks, climbed onto the armor, and denounced the coup leaders as outlaws. He called on everyone to ignore the orders and flood the streets to defend their freedom. And people actually did it. Tens of thousands of citizens formed a human shield around the parliament. This was the turning point. The crowd didn't run away. They walked toward the tanks. Young women put flowers into the gun barrels. People just started talking to the soldiers. These young tankers, seeing their own neighbors instead of an enemy, began to waver. The whole plan shattered because the army simply refused to wage war on its own people. The tension peaked on the night of August 21st. Elite special forces were ordered to storm the parliament, but even they said no. They knew it would be a massacre. After a brief clash left 3 young protesters dead, the momentum was gone. The military realized that to save the old system, they'd have to drown the country in blood. They refused, and the troops were ordered to withdraw. The coup collapsed in just 72 hours. It was a humiliating failure. Gorbachev was released, but he returned to a country that didn't really exist anymore. The attempt to save the empire with tanks actually ended up being its funeral. What the West couldn't do in decades of the Cold War happened in just 3 days. The system just destroyed itself from within.